They're currently supporting vaccinations in the first 8 of 32 priority communities of the Anishinaabe Nation.
Tonight, Ottawa announces more vaccines for northern remote communities.
So all of our splitters are bilingual. All of our vignettes are bilingual. We have conversational Cree, conversational Nakota.
And a new Indigenous radio station launches in Edmonton. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. According to Indigenous Services Canada, 299 Indigenous communities across the country have now begun administering a COVID-19 vaccine. Meanwhile, in Ottawa today, the Prime Minister announced a Canadian-made vaccine is on the way. Jamie Pashagumska reports.
With vaccinations underway in Indigenous communities and some preparing for their second round of doses next week, the Prime Minister announced more vaccinations in northern remote communities.
Just yesterday, the Canadian Rangers and members of the Canadian Armed Forces began working alongside Orange in Ontario. They're currently supporting vaccinations in the first 8 of 32 priority communities of the Anishinaabe Nation.
Trudeau also announced new Canada-made vaccines.
2 companies, Precision Nanosystems and Novavax, are now on track to manufacture vaccines right here in Canada. This is a major step forward to get vaccines made in Canada for Canadians.
Minister of Innovation and Science, François-Philippe Champagne, says the Novavax vaccine production facility is being built in Montreal.
We expect constructions to be completed of the plant by the end of the summer. And then we need to obtain certification, as we call the Good Manufacturing Practice, which is a standard which is administered by Health Canada that every, I would say, biomanufacturing facility in Canada needs to comply. So we expect by the end of the year to be in a position to be producing vaccines. And we're talking around 2 million doses a month.
For the near future, Canada's Chief Medical Officer offered some reassurance to Canadians.
In cautious good news, national daily case counts have continued to decline over the past 2 to 3 weeks. This is a clear sign that the difficult community-based measures that were put in place to control rapid spread are having an impact.
Tam also added, with the new, more contagious variants out there, Canadians need to hold fast to the current measures that are working. Jamie Pashagumska, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Johnson & Johnson is reporting this morning that a single shot of its COVID-19 vaccine is effective in preventing moderate to severe illness. The company's phase 3 trial results found that the vaccine was 66% effective overall. The data came from more than 44,000 participants in the U.S., South Africa, and several Latin American countries. The company, which made the vaccine in partnership with Janssen Pharmaceuticals, is expected to ask the Food and Drug Administration for emergency use authorization as early as next week. And we'd like to know how the vaccine rollout is going in your community. Here's how you can reach us. You can send your emails to news@aptn.ca or leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. The province of Manitoba has signed an agreement with the federal government to ensure people living in remote northern communities will have access to air travel. Ottawa is spending up to $12 million on air operators to make up for losses during COVID-19. The agreement means the province can ensure essential supplies of food, medicine, and other critical goods will continue to flow to 21 remote communities. Many of these places rely on planes as their only year-round form of transportation. Perimeter Aviation, Comair, and Amic Aviation are among the companies receiving the funding. Edmonton has a new Indigenous radio station. The Aboriginal Multimedia Association of Alberta launched 89.3 The Raven on Monday. Chris Stewart has the details.
Listeners have a new option in Edmonton. 89.3 The Raven launched this week and will feature blues, pop, classic rock, and hip-hop music. The Raven will feature Indigenous artists. Bert Crowfoot is the founder of the Aboriginal Multimedia Society of Alberta. They already have country radio called CFWE. The Raven complements that station. Crowfoot says the first song they played after opening ceremonies was from an icon.
He says it's for the peace of all. He's the one who must decide who's to live and who's to die.
The first song was Buffy St. Marie and Universal Soldier, and we chose that one because of what happened when the middle of her career, when she was blacklisted and wasn't allowed to be even heard because a lot of her activism and a lot of the stuff that she was singing. And
Crowfoot says that there will be several languages from Alberta nations used on the Raven. Blackfoot, Cree, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and Michif will all be on the air.
And so we wanted to make sure that people differentiated between the 5 languages. So, for example, we'll say you're listening to the Raven 89.3 and now in the beautiful Cree language. And then they would say the same thing in Cree. So all of our splitters are bilingual. All of our vignettes are bilingual. We have conversational Cree, conversational Nakota.
Crowfoot says already an elder called the program director and thanked the Raven for using his language.
And basically told him, I've lived in the city, and this is the first time I've ever heard Dene on the air. And I am so happy, so pleased that you guys have done this to me, because I'm missing that sound because I'm from up north by high level, and I'm missing my language.
Crowfoot hopes to expand the Raven beyond Edmonton in the future. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
That's pretty cool. Time to step aside now for a quick break. Still to come, Indigenous corrections officers are looking to launch a new lawsuit.
Some of the phrases or some of the wording that were used were blatantly and completely, there was no holding back.
Welcome back. A federal review into a Manitoba First Nation's election has concluded that there was voter fraud in 2017. The review was completed in November by Minister of Indigenous Services Mark Miller. With more, here's Daryl Stranger.
A federal review into Penamutang First Nation's 2017 election has concluded that voting fraud did take place. While this is not the first time that an appeal has been filed after Chief Garnet Woodhouse was elected, this time a federal review concluded there was fraud and vote buying. Part of the report from Minister of Indigenous Services Mark Miller states he is, quote, satisfied that the testimonies have concluded that during the 2017 general election, fraud and vote buying was widespread and that it may have affected the results of the election. Clarence Sumner filed the appeal in 2017. He says this decision is a positive step in the right direction.
For me, that was a victory in itself, because this isn't the only appeal I've set forth against Garnet Woodhouse and his quorum, and it's always been Garnet Woodhouse and his quorum. So, yes, it's a nice feeling to know that all the hard work me and my friends did to do this appeal in 2017 was heard.
Despite the review's conclusion, the review findings could not determine who was ultimately responsible. A statement on behalf of Chief Garnet Woodhouse and Council tells a different story, saying one person was responsible, although they have not been named. Chief Garnett declined to be interviewed and referred us to the band's lawyer, Harley Schechter.
The minister's investigation into voter fraud was centered only upon 3 votes out of all the votes that were cast, 3 votes, and involved one employee of the former chief in council who were not elected. And I know it's a little bit confusing to follow the bouncing ball, but that's the story.
Schechter added that there was another appeal in 2019, but the review found no wrongdoing in that election with the current chief in council. Sumner also filed reports in 2011 and 2019, and while unsuccessful, says he will be keeping an eye on elections in the future.
To me, that means that this can open up doors for more criminal investigation, a more thorough criminal investigation to take place. So I've already alerted my Member of Parliament, Nikki Ashton, and I've also alerted my local Gypsumville RCMP detachment. Now I'm looking forward to seeing what the RCMP is going to do. So they've already opened up a file at the local detachment here at the RCMP.
Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
To Saskatchewan, where Indigenous corrections officers allege systemic racism in the workplace. They plan to launch a lawsuit that has not yet been certified or tested in court. Priscilla Wolfe has more.
Jennifer Sanderson is one of 2 plaintiffs in a class action suit against Correction Services Canada. Sanderson resigned from her position as a correctional guard, the Prince Albert Penitentiary, in 2017. She had worked there for 9 years, but left because of alleged workplace bullying, specifically by one coworker.
When it was going on, it was just one person that was targeting me. And, you know, some of the phrases or some of the wording that were used were blatantly and completely, there was no holding back.
Sanderson adds she had anxiety anytime he approached her.
Whenever he would begin to approach me, I knew right away. It was every time it was racial. And, you know, comments like, well, how come you're not a drunk? Or how come you never got into, you know, this kind of, like, you work in a place like this. How did you manage to come out of not having to end up behind bars?
When Sanderson made a complaint to her supervisor, she didn't think it was dealt with professionally.
We'll have a talk with him. We'll talk with him over a whiskey. I'll talk with him. And I got no support. I got no employee assistance programming support, no mental health support.
So she took the next step for her own well-being.
I handed in my resignation. I put in my letter. I took my gear. And I handed it off to the people that are in charge of that. And the guy looked at me. Nice person, you know, and always so kind to me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I couldn't get my words out. I just handed off my gear and I walked away.
An investigation did take place after her resignation, but nothing came of it.
People have to be accountable. You know, this person got 2 weeks of unpaid leave for years of what was done. And the investigation was opened. It wasn't only about me. There was other things that he was doing.
She decided to launch this lawsuit with a co-plaintiff who suffered similar experiences at another correctional facility. She wants compensation and changes at Correctional Services Canada. Their lawyer, Aidan Klein, says this class action may take a while for a resolution.
Class actions unfortunately take years, so we are in the very early stages. We've been assigned our judge, but we haven't been in discussions with the other side yet. We still have to set down a case management conference with the judge and put down the certification timetable. Certification is the first major step in a class action.
Priscilla Wolfe, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Time now for one more quick break. Still to come, fundraising to fulfill a dream.
I feel excited. I feel famous in sort of way. I feel like everyone is supporting me, which is good.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. This shot of the Sebascon Bay comes from Margaret Romaine. The bay is located within the traditional territory of Manitoba First Nation in Western Ontario. And we'd like to see what you, the viewer, have for our photo of the day. You can send those pictures to share at aptn.ca. And your photo could be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at what tomorrow's weather forecast is looking like. Starting on the east coast, +2 with showers for Halifax, 5 above and flurries in St. John's. -5 with snow in Happy Valley Goose Bay, 17 below in Kuujjuaq. -3 with snow in Montreal, 0 and flurries in Quebec City. +3 under sunny skies in Toronto, -2 in Sault Ste. Marie. 0 for Thunder Bay, -2 in Sioux Lookout. In northern Manitoba, 14 below with snow for Churchill, -4 in Norway House and God's Lake. -3 for Winnipeg and Brandon with snow, -1 in Dauphin. +3 in Regina and Estevan, 4 below with snow in Saskatoon. -19 in Uranium City, 4 below for Meadow Lake. Over to northern Alberta, much chillier, 23 below in High Level with snow, -22 in Grand Prairie. +10 with snow in Medicine Hat, 13 below in Edmonton. +5 and showers for Vancouver, 2 above in Kamloops. 8 below in Prince George, -7 with snow in Smithers. -40 for Old Crow, 18 below in Whitehorse. -23 with flurries for Yellowknife, 33 below in Wrigley. -31 in Sax Harbor, 37 below for Inuvik. -33 in Baker Lake, 36 below in Cambridge Bay. -35 in Resolute, 38 below in Joe Haven. One young Cree teen is turning to some out-of-the-box fundraising efforts to advance his dream of becoming a professional hockey player. Rico Bercier is attending one of the country's leading hockey programs, and to do so, he created a line of merchandise that ties in his love of the game with his culture. Here's an encore presentation of Brittany Hobson's story.
Rico Bercier's love for hockey has taken him to a place young players dream of. In September, Bercier moved to Saskatchewan to attend the highly regarded Athol Murray College of Notre Dame.
A lot of pro people come here. So many NHLers came here. There's better education here, way better hockey here.
The school is home to the Notre Dame hockey program, one of the most recognized hockey development programs in Canada. Bercier is from Opaskwayak and Mosiagan Cree Nations. He first visited the school in 2017 for a goalie training camp. A chance to attend the school full-time came up this past summer.
So we sat down with Mariko in August and we asked him what he wanted to do, whether it was to try out again for the AAA team or to take a chance to go to Notre Dame. The opportunity was there for him, and we wanted to know that we want him to know that the support would be there from both sides of the family.
The move came with a hefty price tag. So Bercier decided to create a merchandise line to help cover some of the costs. He created a logo incorporating his past and future.
The goalie means the people that supported me, my coaches, my friends, my supporters who believe in me that I'll make it far. Number 30 means where I started, the Paw Huskies. I couldn't have been here without the Paw Huskies. The feather was for my ancestors, and my grandpa supported me lots, and my cookums.
The family started making t-shirts and sweaters in September. They sold out within 3 hours. Bercier's mother, Savannah Sais, says the support has been phenomenal.
As I walk through the community and to see, to see people wearing this logo, it's just a really great feeling about how, you know, many supporters that he already has. You know, our family is really grateful and honored. We're really honored for even someone just willing to wear his logo daily.
A piece from the line even made it into the hands of Edmonton Oilers defenseman Ethan Bear.
I feel excited. I feel famous in a sort of way. I feel like everyone is supporting me, which is good. I just love it when I see people wear my shirt.
While it's not easy for a parent to let their child go, C says she's proud to see Bercier chase his dreams.
The opportunities that he has already is just an eye opener for many, even for myself and you know, many parents that want the best for their kids. I always say this to them: home is always going to be home. My boy will always be here. You know, so go out and explore and do your thing.
Brittany Hobson, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Rico, it'd be good to hear from you, hear how you're doing. Confirmation hearings for U.S. Representative Deb Haaland could be announced at any time. Haaland has been nominated by President Joe Biden to head up the Interior Department. She could make history as the first Native American member of cabinet. Tonight on Face to Face, Indian Country Today reporter Aaliyah Chavez tells us why the nomination is so important.
It's a huge deal. I've been doing more research about this, and on the White House's website, I actually learned that if she is confirmed by the Senate, she would be sixth in line in succession of the presidency. And so the Interior Secretary is incredibly high up in terms of the order of the president's cabinet. And so we'll be able to see, as I mentioned, if she is confirmed, we'll be able to see the priorities that she takes. A lot of the executive actions that President Biden has signed already have to do with federal lands and waters, and that falls directly in line with the Interior Department.
And that episode of Face to Face is coming up right away. Finally tonight, today was Groundhog Day.
No shadow. I believe that means an early spring, Sam. Enough of this snow.
And if you're like me and hoping winter will soon be over, you're in luck. The groundhog did not see his shadow this morning, at least in Nova Scotia, meaning we're all in for an early spring. And did you learn how to say groundhog in your language today? Sie come en gros Swiss. That was the Manitoba Métis Federation's Michif word of the day, and it means groundhog. Sie come en gros Swiss. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Tuesday. For news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for tuning in. Stick around. Face to Face is up next. Have a great night.